on some of the social networks if you don't launch on time. All right, folks, we are back with our Whale webinar. The three amigos are back. And as you can see, we have an incredible addition. Yakov, thanks for joining us. So Yakov is one of not only just the great humans. I always talk about how when I talk to you, I just feel better. Like your communication style is beyond top notch. You're like a therapist and a genius, like the confluence of both. It's incredible. So I love interacting with you. And then as always, Whale Wrangler from the Carolinas, LB with the Hartford Whalers. Logan, as always, such a pleasure to have you. And then how can I be remiss to mention the big fella from Utah, Sonder, always a pleasure, Director of Product Marketing. So thank you for joining us, Sonder. We are going to go over something that is actually near and dear to Max's heart. Max would always, we already got the lively chats.
Jazz, Utah in the house.
All the Utah peeps. Let's go.
A lot of Utahns in here.
The John Stocktons and Karl Malone era, amazing. The Byron Russell, that's probably one of the most iconic like last shots ever. Michael Jordan.
Push-off?
Oh, the push-off.
Is that what you meant to call it?
No, I was 100% reading. There was, because I don't know if you guys remember, but I forget what his name was, and we're all already off in the weeds as this goes. What was the guy that did the scandal, the NBA scandal? They did such a good job of pushing it out. But anyways, there's like a huge scandal, and I guess it is like a thing. Like you don't call the fouls on the big people. But anyways, speaking of fouls, if your finances are all fouled up, kids call that a segue, by the way. We have something that can absolutely be able to take the blinders off of your finances. And so we have been working on a way to basically D2C-fy, just making up verbs, the finances. So in finance, you usually have three big finance sheets, the profit and loss, the balance sheet, and the cash flow statement. And then there's also something really important to your finances known as the general ledger. But those have always been kind of out of touch for most people. They're a little bit of high level concepts. They're kind of, who cares, is the money in the bank account kind of stuff. And Yakov wasn't happy with that. He said, no, I came to Trip Well and this stops now. And so Yakov, tell me kind of where, because you've been interviewing, and we should have queued up the GIF. I don't know if you guys watch Always Sunny, but there's the GIF of Charlie with all the things on the wall and stuff like that. I crap you not. Yakov's office is literally everything is on a wall with printed of like people's faces and their statements and all these things. It is the amount of user research that went into this is it's incredible. And so Yakov, I guess enough preamble. Take it from here, kind of let the people know what you've been working on, why you've been working on it, what the theory, the user feedback, and then maybe if it's okay with you, we might be able to get a sneak peek of it.
Yeah, absolutely. So first of all, I'm really excited to be here. I appreciate the opportunity to get on the Whale webinar. And like Rabah said, I've been speaking to a lot of users. I think at this point, I've done in-depth conversations with about 60 of our users in the last maybe 2-3 months. And what I've heard from people over and over again is that they feel like they don't have a sense of their financial position. Cheers. People have, I've heard from a lot of people, I have 4 bank accounts, I have 7 credit cards, and it's all just kind of like swirling around. And I don't have time to check in on all of them all the time. But at the same time, I need to know how much money do I have available for growth initiatives, for advertising, for making purchase orders. What purchase orders do I have outstanding? When are they due? Am I going to have enough money available to pay for those invoices? Things like this. Some of the other things that I've heard is like tracking cash flow is extremely challenging. And other things that I've been hearing is that it's really difficult to get an accurate reading on your actual profitability because there are a lot of asynchronous costs, meaning costs where I'll consume a good or a service at this time, but I don't actually pay for it until that time. So reconciling all the pieces so I have a clear view of my profitability is quite challenging. These are some of the themes that I've heard over and over again, talking to all all these wonderful brands. And so we put our heads together and tried to build some solutions, because that's what we do, right?
That's it. We're not about
I
problems
love
here
it.
at Triple Well. We're about solutions. Let's go. That's so interesting. So I actually got to take a sneak peek and a ride on the roller coaster yesterday. And there was a lot of interesting little through lines that you kept hitting me with, these little one-line zingers. For example, the P&L of your dreams, or not your accountant's P&L. I thought that was just such a really interesting mental model to wrap my head around, because the way you set it up gives the flexibility. Like, so if anybody's ever worked in QuickBooks, I can't think of a more rigid software, and more of like a feature there than a bug, right? Like QuickBooks needs to force you into things because that's how they categorize things, et cetera, et cetera. But the way that you've set up this P&L and the trade-offs that you've made have been so interesting to me, that it does give you that flexibility to have, like you said, almost like an up to the minute, because you're using that accrual. And I want to try and stay away from the jargon. It's a little bit harder, but ultimately you're staying into almost that real time. When the transaction hits, you can then track that, and then it is reflected in your P&L. Can you talk a little bit about why you decided to do that and why you think it's more impactful?
You're talking about the reconciliation and accrual piece?
Yeah, the accrual piece and the P&L, because you kind of touched on it with the async stuff. And again, we're throwing these kind of big, weird words out at you guys, so I want to make sure that everybody's following along. But it is really powerful, the trade-offs that you made, I thought.
Yeah, sure. So let me actually start with the not your accountant's P&L. A traditional accounting P&L, you'll have a line in the P&L for your revenue. You'll have a line in the P&L for maybe your COGS or cost of service. You'll have a line for marketing, a line for G&A, general and administrative expenditures. But it's very coarse. It's very broad. It's not so granular. It's certainly not tailored to DTC. And if you want to use a P&L to figure out what levers to pull to drive your business forward, it's an accountant's P&L is just not granular enough. You know, in the world of DTC, we don't just have general marketing expenditures. We have influencers and expenditures related to influencers, which, by the way, it might be payments, or it might be that you're sending out complimentary samples, and that costs you money. How do you account for that? Where does that go in your accountant's P&L? We have marketing tools. We have merchandising, which is arguably a subset of marketing. We have marketing agencies, and like all these things drive different. They're all connected. All these costs are connected to different revenue drivers. So with our non-accountant's P&L, we try to design it from the ground up for the specific context of a DTC business. That's one of the points you were bringing out, Rabah. And then the other points about the accrual, and in order to unpack that, I'm going to define two terms. These are terms that probably a lot of people know, but to just make sure everyone's on the same page, there's two standards in accounting. One is called cash accounting, and the other is called accrual accounting. Cash accounting means that you recognize the revenue and the costs that are associated with your business based on when the money changes hands. You recognize revenue when the money for that revenue hits your bank account. You recognize costs when the costs for those expenses leave your bank account. Whereas in accrual accounting, you recognize the revenue and expenditures. You recognize the revenue when the revenue is earned, and you recognize the expenses when the expenses are consumed. So a great example of this, let's say a classic example would be an insurance policy. Maybe you're going to purchase an insurance policy and you're going to pay for the entire year's worth of premium upfront in one shot. So based on cash accounting, you would recognize all of that expense in 1 month when you pay for that year-long premium. But based on accrual accounting, you would chop that premium up into 12 chunks, and you would recognize 1/12 of it every month. All right, that's just an example of accrual versus cash. Now, how does that play out in the world of DTC? Why is this such an important distinction in the world of DTC? The answer is because there's so many categories of expense in DTC that are asynchronous with respect to that the costs are actually incurred asynchronous to when the service is consumed. A classic example would be advertising. a lot of people get invoiced from Facebook once a month. Well, you're spending on ads every day. Yes, you're only getting invoiced once a month, and maybe you only have to pay that invoice 15 days or 30 days after you receive the invoice. So if you're looking at it on a cash basis, the actual expenses are not going to be aligned with when you're consuming that advertising service. That goes for advertising, that goes for cost of goods, that goes for handling fees from your 3PL, that can go from your shipping fees with your shipping provider. There's a whole bunch of categories of expenses in DTC that are just asynchronous, and so that's why an accrual P&L is so important for DTC. And by the way, this is not my opinion. This is not my insight. This is what I learned from talking to 60 of our brands.
Yeah, so Yakov, it's really interesting too, because we have like that live, of course, with like the media buying platforms, we have live spend data from Google, Facebook, you name it. But for the folks listening, I was trying to this is really insightful. We have a bunch of folks on this call. What's like the ideal tech stack or stack right now for the customers who this product is for? Do they have an accountant already? Are they just owner operators who are trying to manage QuickBooks on their own? If it's one or the other or both, how do they supplement this product with their accountant and what they're paying those folks to do?
Yeah, that's a great question, Logan. FinHub is not a replacement for your accountant. FinHub is not a replacement for your accounting software. FinHub is a complement to your accountant and your accounting software. It's for owner operators that are one man or one woman shops, but it's also and we have companies that are using FinHub already, like alpha users that have teams of 50 people and or even small finance departments in-house. And so why would such a company use FinHub? Well, because for one thing, just because you have a finance team, just because you have a large team, doesn't mean that the key decision makers in the business necessarily have their finger on the pulse of everything that's happening all the time. They don't necessarily have like a daily dashboard, a command center, if you will, for the finances and operations of their business. And they don't want to have to go to their finance person every time they have a question about basic information. If you're trying to pitch to an investor, you don't necessarily want to be dependent on getting access to your finance person, which may be a fractional outside person or maybe an inside person. What if that person's skiing? I don't know. What if they're using the restroom and you need to go into an investor pitch? You don't want to have to not have access to the key data that you need to make that pitch. So that's one of the reasons for even larger teams to use FinHub. And then obviously the rationale is just that much more compelling with smaller teams that don't necessarily have access to those kinds of resources.
Yeah, it's a great question. Awesome. If you guys have any questions, feel free to drop them either in the chat or in the questions, whether that be about FinHub, or we also have, not to steal your thunder, Yakov, but we also upgraded, I wish I had a little gift to drop in, a need for speed, all of our customer insights. So if you were a bigger store, I know our cohorting was challenging to get there, and there you go, speedboat, baby. Get those insights it was kind of, you load it up, go get a cup of coffee and come back and cross your fingers that the cohort page would load up. Now we've played around with it with some of our bigger stores that are doing 500-600 million a year. And it literally loads in seconds, it's absolutely bananas. So we'll actually drop some of that in Narwhal Nation as well, to make sure that people will go re-explore these features that sometimes were probably a little bit inaccessible or just not the best user experience. So let us know if you have any questions there. And then if you do have any accounting questions or anything like that, feel free to drop in the chat. Yakov is a unending well of knowledge in terms of the finance space. And so we can get those going. Yakov, do you feel like this is going to be extension? Max, what do you mean by an extension within the Triple Whale dashboard?
And maybe to answer it, it will be within your dashboard. So if you already have Triple Whale, you'll see the Finance Hub on the left-hand side, just like you would the Creative Cockpit or
The
Affluencer
Fin
Hub.
Hub. The Fin Hub.
Yeah, Fin Hub. So you'll have it there, and you can easily access it anytime. Yeah, hopefully that answers it. But
And Max, on the assumption that that was your question. Oh, yep, there you go. Yeah, that was one of the other key values is that like so many of the brands that are on Triple Whale, you know, like you're in Triple Whale. That's where you do your work. That's where you live. And the idea of having to leave Triple Whale and go log into like 5 or 10 different other places is just so unappetizing and inefficient. So that's one of the key design imperatives here is to make everything accessible directly from within Triple Whale.
It's amazing.
love it. So should we give the people what they want? I feel like they need to see this thing, huh?
Oh, yeah, is this enough buildup? Is this enough buildup? Is this the tsunami the dam has broke? Let's
I think that's
go.
what people are here for.
All right.
Drum roll, please. And if you guys are wondering, I don't actually live in a hotel. I'm actually at a D2C conference, powerful D2C newsletters, putting on an awesome conference out here in Victoria. But I see Rich is on, and I don't even get to show off. I have a beautiful shoe setup with his Look-See designs, and they're beautiful. And so next time. Ooh.
Are we ready?
Yeah, let me do Josh first, and then let's give you the stage, Jakob. Random input on Triple Whale on the connections integration to be beneficial to show the accounts connected. Oh, that is actually really, really interesting. Logan, any thoughts there?
Yeah, I think it's great. Like if you're connecting Facebook, we could show you the Facebook IDs, the account IDs that are connected. Yeah, that would make sense. Yeah, I can pass that along to our other product managers and see what we can get done for you.
Fantastic. Yeah, great question, Josh. All right, Yakov, the stage is yours. The lights are dimmed. The curtains have opened. Dun, 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 dun.
Boom, 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 boom.
Looks like Max is typing. Oh, no Max. All right, here we go. Welcome to the Fin Hub. So, structure Fin Hub.
Can I preface this before? Can I cut you off for a
Go
second?
for it. Yep.
I'm so angry that I didn't think of the Fin Hubs. So something for folks that don't know, there's something called a double entendre that has like double meanings, and obviously Fin, whale pun, and then Fin Finance Hub. Absolutely brilliant. Probably the best named module we've had to date. So I just want you to know that I love you and hate you at the same time. Where you really beat me at my own game. It's pretty incredible, the Fin Hub. So hats off to you there.
Robert, to be loved and hated by you is such an honor.
Okay, sorry for messing your flow. Go for it.
All good. So the Fin Hub here is in the nav bar, on the left, third position. And the structure of it is very similar to the summary page of Triple Whale, meaning that there are sections that are tightly themed, and then there are tiles within sections. Some of the sections are more graphic and visual than what you traditionally have on the summary page. Can everyone hear me okay?
Yeah, I think your mic switched for some reason. Your audio was good, and then it seems a little sus. We can get through it if it's not, but it was really good at the beginning. I don't know if something changed.
I think it has to do with sharing.
Okay. We'll make it work.
All right. In any event, so we have a live P&L here. Net sales, COGS, operations. This is what I was talking about before, about how we're really breaking it down into a lot of fine granularity that's really suited for DTC. You have asset creation, earned media, paid media, tools, samples, merchandising, agencies, and others. One of the features of FinHub that is so exciting and so powerful is that it's the first time in Triple Whale history that we're actually able to bring in activity from other sales channels like Amazon, Walmart, etc. And the way that's enabled is by virtue of the fact that your sales or your revenue rather from those other channels ultimately still hits your bank account. So here we have an example. This is real data from Madison of Max's Amazon revenue and Max's Walmart revenue, right alongside Max's Shopify revenue. And I think right there, that's a super important and valuable feature.
So they don't have to connect anything. This is just based off of their data in terms of what's getting pushed into their bank account.
That's exactly right. Exactly right.
That's really cool.
Okay. And this gives you a real accurate reading of how profitable your business is performing and what are the levers you can do to drive things forward. Next up, we have, as Rabah said, a general ledger, which in our parlance, we're calling live transactions. So these are all of the financial transactions going in and out of your business, all of your credits and all of your debits. Debits are charges or money going out. Credits are receipts or money coming in. And you can see that this is spanning multiple accounts. Like this is my Chase account. This is my American Express account. The way to understand this is a this is a payment to American Express from my Chase account. Obviously, that's paying down my credit card. But then there are other charges that are, other transactions that are not from one account to the other, rather between me, let's say, and a third party, like Indicia, Florida Department of Revenue, Canva, etc.
And so Yaakov,
Okay,
I know we're going to get to it in a second, but those live transactions, like let's say that I'm paying down my American Express out of my Chase account, it's also going to live in live format, going to update my credit card debt metric as well.
Yeah.
Nice. That's great.
Yaakov, we have a couple questions coming in here, so I want to get your answers. So let me put this in the question. 1 second, Khalid. This is a really good question. Oh, you're already on it, Sonder.
I got him.
Sonder, making moves. Oh, you didn't have to kill the screen share, but Sonder, you want to pull those questions up?
Yep.
Amazing.
And make sure, so we have some folks asking questions in the chat. Just as a note, we do have a questions if you go right next to the chat, there's a questions tab. So make sure if it's a question, pop it in there. It's really easy for Sonder to populate it on the screen. And we'll leave chats to more like back and forth.
Should we take a couple of these questions or should I continue?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. No. So the first question is, so if I have an employee on the same account, will he be able to see all my transactions from A to Z? Or is there an option to isolate it to an owner level or an employee level? So too long didn't read. What type of permissions are we offering with FinHub, Yaakov?
Great question, Khalid,
Very
and
good
well
question.
paraphrased Rabah. By default, only the owner of the store will have access to FinHub. You, as the owner, can assign access to anyone else on your team that you desire. But by default, it's locked down, so only you can see it.
Amazing. Khalid, did that answer your question? Amazing. You want to go to Max's question, Sonder? Look at this guy. The mind melt's strong here.
Moving.
This production crew, people. This is years and years of practice.
All right, so Yaakov, the next question is, what about apps like Channable? Right now, my Amazon sales are recorded into Shopify as well. Will this be tracked double because it's hitting both?
Interesting.
Max, the answer I'm not sure about Channable specifically, but if I understand the second part of your question correctly, no, it will not be. It will not be double counted because it's based on the revenue hitting your bank account. So unless you are so fortunate enough to have those sales being be paid for those sales twice, then it's not going to be double counted in FinHub. But if you are getting paid for those sales twice, please let me know because I would love to learn about that trick.
That's right. But Yaakov, this is actually a good distinction that I think, because a lot of people are so used to Trip Whale right now utilizing integrations to pull in data about their business. So just to make sure I understand this right, and for the people as well, we are not taking your Shopify revenue or transactions to populate FinHub. This is all based on bank account revenue. And the only other integration would be with your bank account and your credit cards to populate the debits and credits, right?
Yes, with a little asterisk that I'll put on it, which is that maybe you're also connecting your accounting system. Maybe you're only connecting your accounting system. But the key here is that it's all based on dollars and not based on bits.
Okay.
Okay, how does the integration work with the bank account work? And is it supported with UK banks? Okay, so the integration with bank accounts is powered by a company called Plaid or Plaid. I did ask this question. It is officially called Plaid.
Plaid.
Anyone's wondering?
I've always wondered. It's like Klaviyo.
Right. Anyway, so
Although
yeah,
their
it's
logo
powered
is a
by
plaid check mark, by the way. But anyway, sorry.
Oh, yeah.
I was thinking the same thing, Logan. That's what I was.
So that's a good thing because they're the industry leader. They have connections to like literally tens of thousands of financial institutions around the world. It also means that any credentials that you have to put up to enable this is super secure. They have a huge security team. Your credentials are not even stored with Triple Whale. We never even have access to your credentials, and everything.
Oh, we just lost you, Jakob.
Yuck, you're
And
Oh
then
man,
he's
just
out.
like that.
Done. He said, "I'm done with this."
Peace. I'm done with this.
See you later.
Here you
Am I
go.
back?
You're
You're
back.
back.
Oh,
Oh, it sounds great
Audio
again.
better.
Audio's back.
Amazing.
I'm back, baby.
Amazing. I'm back, better than ever. All right. So yeah, it's powered by Plaid. As far as the UK, Ryan, I'm sorry to say this. At this moment, we are not available to support UK institutions. It is definitely on the roadmap.
Really?
His Majesty's Royal Government, I can say that now, it has a lot of regulations when it comes to open finance, and so yeah. It's a process. There's a lot of red tape to get into the UK with an open finance product like this, but it is something that we're working on. I mean, Plaid has support for all of the leading UK institutions. It's just a matter of getting government approval to use that connectivity. But we are at launch tomorrow. We are going to be live all across the United States and Canada.
Oh, amazing. Great White North. Even though it's a protector of the crown because they run their own show, huh? That's interesting.
I guess so. Yep.
Yeah, that's interesting. It's a really, really good question, Ryan. Amazing. And our condolences here. It is. It's Canada,
No, I know. It's just so funny.
Australia. Yeah.
How you said it was funny, right? Game of Thrones style.
It is. It kind of is. I don't know. The Brits, they love the monarchy. It's I have a British friend. I lived with a Brit for years. There's just something that they like. I don't know. That's a really, really great question. So the other thing too, going back to that deduplication, what if I wanted to see, because we do have the real-time data essentially from ad channels in terms of spend. What if I want to see that in my P&L? Is that possible, or do I have to wait for because when you get into big spending accounts, almost everybody gets invoiced unless they really don't care. But most people get invoiced because they don't want to have to get paper cutted every $1,000 on their credit card. So it's just like, hey, charge me $100,000 at the end of the month, blah, blah, blah. But then in theory, going back to your accrual versus cash, that $100,000 or whatever you're paying on Facebook a month wouldn't hit your P&L until it actually comes out of your bank account, correct? So is there a way that we can make it instant since we have that data?
We got it. We got you covered. That's absolutely one of the use cases that we support, and that's exactly what I was referring to when I was talking about the accrual versus cash. So we have the ability to bring in expenses from other part of the Triple Whale app, like advertising, so that it's reconciled automatically to the day.
All right, so I don't want to get in the weeds too much, Yakov, but it made me think of something. If we're pulling in live spend data from those platforms, what happens when I do pay off the bill that comes through my Amex?
Oh, wonderful question. So we have the ability, actually, let me share my screen for this.
I'm glad you're prepared for that one. We didn't practice this.
Okay, so let's say, just for argument's sake, all right, I mean, this is a great example, Snap ads, right? Like, obviously, that's from Snapchat. and that is an advertising expense. All right, here it is. Now it's not a big bill, but this addresses this is the answer to your question. You can just say, it's not over here yet. All right, hold on, I got you. Just hop over here and get over. Here, you can hop over here and you can create a rule saying if a vendor name contains Snap, then skip the P&L dashboard, and that will make so that you're not
that's slick.
Yep.
So that's how you get the deduping done, where it will just jump and just. That's slick. Cool. That's cool. And so you're going to be able to categorize that. Either you said there was kind of 4 categorization methods, and there's a hierarchy of precedence in those categorization methods.
Yep. So the king here is if you have an accounting system and you've connected that accounting system to FinHub and you're already categorizing over in your accounting system, we're going to presume that is the most that is the final statement of your categorization. And that categorization is going to flow into FinHub automatically, and that will prevail over anything else. In addition to that, as you just saw a second ago, we have the ability to create categorization rules directly from within FinHub. And those take the second degree of precedence right after any categorization that's happening in your account system. Another layer of categorization is, let's say you have a rule for yada, 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 whatever, but then there's an individual transaction that matches that rule. And nonetheless, you want this particular transaction to be categorized a different way. You can do that as well. And then the final approach to categorization is that Plaid actually does automatically categorize every transaction, but their taxonomy of categorization is not so relevant for a P&L. So we provide a tool that lets you map from Plaid's categories to P&L lines. So those are kind of the 4 approaches to categorization. It's a complex thing, but we want this to be a tool that is available for everyone in the D2C world, and businesses come in all shapes and sizes and operating modalities. So we're trying to build it to support everybody to the extent.
Yeah, that's awesome. I got an interesting question for you, Jakub. I don't know if you have this example, but after talking to these 60 plus customers about this feature product, has anyone given you a statement like, if I had this 3 months ago, I could have done X for my business? Do you have any examples like that of like how people could have used this to really impact their decision making?
Yeah, absolutely. A ton, in fact. Like a lot of people have gotten into cash crunches because they don't have accurate visibility into how much money do I have, how much money is coming, how much money am I going to owe. A lot of people have gotten surprised. They've lost track of a $200,000 invoice, and then they show up and it's due in a couple of days, and all of a sudden you have to go take a loan on unfavorable terms, things like that. I've had a lot of stories like that. So hopefully this can help people be more on top of it and avoid surprises, things like that.
Speaking of invoicing, how do we handle that? Because that's from what I've heard a lot of times, like especially like smaller D2C shops where it's just like you commit to X or Y or Z inventory, you get the inventory, and then you forget that this $50,000 invoice is due, and it sounds ridiculous. But at the same time, like you have so many things going on that sometimes like these things can just fly under the radar, and you get the inventory and you're selling the inventory. Who cares? Do we have a solution to make sure that people have a good idea on where they're at in terms of their cash position?
Absolutely. And I'm really glad you asked that question, Rava. So here's our invoicing solution. You can create an invoice, type in the title, which maybe is the vendor name, a little description for yourself. You can put in the amount of the invoice, like the value. You can select the currency. You can put in what percent is due upon the receipt of the invoice. When is the remainder due? When was the invoice sent to you? When did you make your initial payment? Well, based on this and this, we'll tell you when is the remainder due. And then all of your invoices are recorded for you here. You can view this as tiles or as tables, and it tells you automatically the total amount that's due remaining on all the invoices. the amount that's due in the next 30 days, the amount that's due in the next 60 days, the amount that's due in the next 90 days. And in the coming days, we'll also be showing here like a little pill with the actual due date of each of these individual invoices. And I should also say, if you're putting invoices into your accounting system and your accounting system is connected to FinHub, then those invoices will flow through here automatically.
Absolute magic.
Question?
Yeah, that answered my question. Absolutely. We have a pricing question. Who wants to take this?
Man of the hour. Keep Yakov going.
Tell him the sweet news.
Well, you have
The
to.
sweet news.
I just don't know anything about surprise and delight. Delight is a function of surprise, Logan. You can't tell the people it's coming.
I can't use
They
it to
won't like
sweet
it.
news.
They
God.
won't like it. Unbelievable. This guy. I mean, if
That's why I
you
left marketing.
Put him in timeout for 5 minutes.
All jokes aside, where are we landing with pricing, Yakov?
Where we're landing with pricing. So the pricing for FinHub, like everything else in Triple Whale, depends on how much annual revenue your store is doing.
Okay.
We
So where does
tried
it
to price it. It's going to start for stores doing under $1 million a month. It's going to start at $100 per month.
That sounds like it's too much. Let's give people 50% off. What do you think?
Fine, Rabba. Just because you said that, we're going to do that. We're going to give you.
This is how it works,
call,
Logan.
we're going to give you 50% off if you guys buy in right at the outset. The first 500 stores to hop on board are going to get a 50% discount for your whole lifetime of using the product. It's not like introductory pricing. It's not bait and switch pricing. There's no extra charge for undercoating. Fully loaded, it'll be 50% off for life.
Done in perpetuity. So if you guys are one of the first 500 stores, you'll get 50% off. And then on top of that, I think the first entry point is $100, right? Under $1 million is $100. Yep. So you would be getting in for $50, and then it'll escalate from there. But 50% off for everybody. You get a car, you get a car, you get a car. Yakov just went Oprah on us, and I absolutely love it. I'm sorry, Sandra, I totally cut you off. Go ahead.
I was just going to say Logan can come out of timeout. Rabba's going back to timeout.
Thanks.
We're just tagging in and out of the penalty box. We're actually, speaking of penalty box, that hat that Logan is wearing is actually a Hartford Whalers. And
it's a cool logo.
It's a dope logo. There's a crazy story about it too on Netflix. About a crazy. Anyways, we won't get into that. But we're also getting. We're sponsoring Brantley's amateur hockey team, and we're getting. Triple Whale sweaters. They're slick. They look really cool. So we're getting one for the Austin office.
But you got to connect that dot. So Brantley lives in Raleigh with a lot of our sales team. Raleigh is the parent team to the Hartford Whalers. That's how.
Oh wow!
Circle, yeah. So okay, Brantley is a massive fan of the Hurricanes and also the Hartford Whalers. So
you've totally redeemed yourself. There we go. Full time.
That's how you do it. That's how you really build the story.
The student has now become the teacher. Incredible. Yakov, what did we not talk about? Or do you guys have any other questions? Definitely feel free to throw it in the chat. We can open it up to all questions if you have questions about any customer insights or anything about the app. But if you do have questions about FinHub, toss it in there. What did we not talk about? Oh, go ahead, Sandra.
One thought I have, and one thing that excites me about this, and maybe a little peek into the future, Yakov. But one of the biggest pain points I've run into as a marketer is you will find a niche product, you'll find an ad, you'll be able to scale and grow it, and 2 weeks later it's completely sold out and gone, and cash flows all over the place. Now we've got dealing with invoices that they ordered this product 4 weeks ago, which Yakov, you touched on with the invoices, but I just think the visibility this is going to give to operators, and since it is in Triple Whale, to the marketers as well, if you give them access. But however that may look, is just super exciting to me that it will just really bring teams in sync on what is working on the marketing side, where things are at on the invoicing side, what's coming on the inventory side. So I'm just thrilled about that from a marketer, having run into this pain point dozens of times. So
very, very solid point, Sandra. That was one of the most interesting. So two things. One is and this is both points are riffing on what you said just now, Sandra. A little foreshadowing for everybody on the call. Where this is going next is forecasting. Like, in order to forecast, we need to know, in order to help you forecast, let's put it like that, we need to have access to financial data, cash, charges, invoices, things like that. But where we're trying to get to is helping you forecast, helping you have a financial roadmap for your business. That's the next steps for this kind of product line. And one of the most interesting things that I learned from talking to customers about exactly this topic is just how much of a team sport forecasting and financial planning is for the business. I think that and how challenging it is to get cohesion among different departments of the business. The best quote that I heard, pardon me, I forget the gentleman's name off the top of my head, but he said it so succinctly. Canadian guy, actually, French Canadian. He said something like, "I finally put it together that my CEO and my CFO and I, the CMO, all are approaching this from different." Wasn't that a great quote?
Oh, it was so good. We're butchering it, but we'll see if we can find it. It was so illuminating.
Totally not doing it justice. But yeah, we're all approaching this from very different perspectives. We all have very different values. And he said something like, "My CEO is like, what can I spend on for growth? And my CFO is, how can I avoid spending? And my media buyer's like, I don't want to lose my job." So we're all, if we can't all agree on where it is we're trying to go, how are we ever going to get there? And so having a tool like a financial planning and forecasting tool that enables everybody to kind of align around a plan and a roadmap is a very powerful thing for bringing the organization together. That was for sure one of the biggest insights that came out of the research, and one of the things that I'm personally most excited about supporting.
Yeah, I would piggyback off of that. I think that was just the way it was articulated. It was just, when you have the idea, but it's kind of nebulous, and then somebody puts words to that idea. That's kind of how I felt when that guy's statement. I was like, that's what I've been trying to say. Like, that's it. Like, everybody's driving from a different map, where it's like, what if you gave everybody the same map? And then that way we know we're driving it. So that was really cool. The other thing, to Sandra's point and to what you guys are talking about, I think the FinHub's incredible, but where the FinHub really like sharks with laser beams on their head, like, is the forecasting tool, where it's like, oh my gosh, that's because one of the things that people, everybody knows it here, but from the outside looking in, you don't realize how capital intensive D2C businesses are. And not being able to match up your supply and your demand can be absolutely ruinous. And so going back to like the Utah Jazz, like if John Stockton, Karl Malone, and Jeff Hornacek, right? I forget his last name. Hornacek, geez, a 3-point sniper. Like, if those three people are out of your lineup, you're not making money. And most D2C brands only have usually 1 to 4, 1 to 5 kind of hero SKUs that make like the Pareto principle of 80% of their revenues. And so the ability to make sure that you never run out of that product, or to your point, Yakov, of like you become capitalized when you need to versus, having to go to the loan shark and take incredible, pun intended, incredible like costs and just like terrible terms. The forecasting tool, I think, is really super exciting. The FinHub is gorgeous, but I think the forecasting tool is really the next elevation of understanding why the finances matter. Because if you mismatch that supply and demand, you can be getting some really weird cash flow situations where you're actually a profitable business, but you have to wait for people like you. We actually have yesterday's whale mail was all on the cash conversion cycle of like, you really need to figure that out and nail that down, because if you get that out of place, you can get some weird cash flow things. And I'll round up on this and stop rambling. If you want to see like video game numbers in terms of cash conversion cycle, go look at Gymshark, where basically they have a negative cash conversion cycle and they get paid to grow, which is the holy grail kind of stuff. Khalid has some questions for you. One for Logan, and then we'll start with the FinHub one, and then we'll go to you, Logan. So, can I allocate a store to a user inside Triple Whale? The idea is to isolate the team's parenthetical media buyers from seeing other brands' numbers, P&L. I guess this might be a you question, Logan.
Maybe.
How do our permissions work?
Can I allocate a store to a user inside? The idea is to isolate the teams. Well, I'm trying to think about isolating the teams. So specific users have to be added to FinHub, right? So the P&L would not be visible to anyone who doesn't have access. But that is the extent of the permission levels that we offer. There's like the admin, the owner of the account, who could basically turn it off if they want, change billing. And then everyone else is just a user. They can see everything. But this is the first feature in which product that someone can also be, they have to be manually added to. They don't just get access for being added to your store. So I guess that's the extent of what we offer. I'm not sure if it answered the question, though. Hopefully it did.
Let's see. One user can see store X only in terms of all the dashboards.
I don't think we've built out full user permissions yet, right? It's just like owner and member so far.
It's just
So-
owner, member, and then Finance Hub now, or FinHub can have, they get access to that as well. So by default, they don't, right, Yakov? They have to be
Yes.
added by the owner to the. So, I mean, if you wanted your media buyers to see only the dashboards for all your brands and stores, only add that user to the, like, as a user to each Triple Whale account. And then they're not just going to get FinHub by default. Someone would have to manually add them to each one. So if you want to keep them out of that, then just don't add them.
Yeah.
Amazing.
I did, for whatever it's worth, I did see yesterday, I think, can't remember who it was, but someone on the team did mention that they're working on a fully baked platform-wide permission system. So that's in the works.
Like kind of roles based type of thing where like X person
Yeah.
gets what.
Yeah.
That's very cool. We will never skip your question, Khalid. Do you guys calculate the view through conversion if a customer sees an ad on YouTube, then converts on a different channel? Right now, I think we're only pulling in view through from Facebook, but is there plans on bringing, because technically the way it'd work was YouTube, if you're within that attribution window, would also claim, or Google would also claim credit for that conversion. But this is really Logan's domain.
Yeah. Well, I answer that question simply, and then I'll get to some additional features that are rolling out so you can kind of better understand this data. So right now, we don't have view through conversions. Triple Whale does not calculate view through conversions. The triple attribution plus views is actually indicative of Facebook's one-day view through attribution that we pull in from the API. So that's the answer now. So YouTube, there is no view through that we are calculating. But to give you some better understanding in the future, one, we have a new, I don't want to, I know this is Yakov's day. We are rolling out a new version of the Pixel, which is going to be amazing, by the way. In this new rollout, we're actually splitting away triple attribution plus views. You'll just be able to toggle on Facebook's one-day view from the Facebook view when you like it, or from the all channels page. So that way it's going to be very clear that that is Facebook's one-day view data you're pulling in. Fast forward to maybe like a month from now, we're going to be introducing kind of like MMM, like media mix modeling. It'll be much more like channel specific, but we're actually going to be taking a modeled view of all your traffic, spend levels, impressions from different platforms, and telling you kind of on a machine learning basis, like where we think revenue is coming from and what channels are giving the most credit, should have the most credit. And then I'll take one step further on YouTube. I do think that Google does a pretty good job of this thing called assisted conversions. So if you're in your Google Ads account, I would suggest, if you're running a lot of YouTube and you don't think a lot of your conversions are coming from clicks, look into their assisted conversions metrics there. They will tell you if they feel like a Google user viewed on YouTube and then went through another ad on Google, like branded search or something. And that's what I used to do in the past. But triple attribution is click-based. So it's when those types of things are happening, it's more difficult for us to model them in.
I'll support that too, Logan. That's where we have seen a lot of success, or I have with other brands, is running YouTube as more top of funnel to feed like retargeting funnels. And so opting into that provides a little bit better visibility, but it for sure is like great when it comes to feeding other funnels that way.
Amazing. You guys are just a bunch of big brains. All right, we got 5 more minutes for a few more
Did
questions.
we get a list of questions, Rabba? Did Alan send over some questions?
Yeah, we did. Darn it. Yeah, 1 second. Let me pull those up if you want to fill some time.
Yeah, I'm not sure how many folks submitted beforehand, but at least we can get to
Yeah.
those.
Let's give away some merch. How can we give away some merch, Logan? What do you think?
I mean, these FinHub hats. You're
yeah.
giving your hat off to
On that note-
Jakob.
He won't
Can
send
I
me
just
one. I'm
say-
still mad at him.
First of all, talk to Colin. Your hat arrived yesterday in Austin. That is not true. I don't want to hear any more complaints from you until I get a sweatshirt or a hoodie. Because all I got
Have you
is the
seen
sweatshirt.
these? Oh, they're so
I
sick.
saw it today. Where's
They're
my
so sick.
hoodie, Rabba?
They're so sick. I'll send you one. I promise. We'll
Thank
get
you,
who
thank
else
you.
needs a
Okay,
hoodie? We need to get
Me?
one of you beautiful people a hoodie.
Okay.
You don't have a hoodie either?
No.
Sandra, don't tell me you don't have a hoodie.
I don't have a hoodie. I live in the
How-
desert.
Oh,
Don't tell me.
It'll be cold here in January. You can send it to me then.
I just want to say
here's-
that, and I believe that this is official, so it's not a problem to announce this so publicly. But I believe the deal is that in addition to getting half off, if you're in the first 500 to stores to upgrade to FinHub, that you will also get a complimentary FinHub limited edition hat mailed to you for free.
Uh-oh. What a deal. For
I did
50
not
bucks,
know
you
that.
could get FinHub and a $30 hat. That's pretty amazing.
You really are Oprah. But wait,
There's more.
That's
That's,
amazing.
That's Billy
That
Mays
is
or
cool.
whatever. But
Yeah,
wait.
but wait, there's more. Gosh darn, I'm trying to find these questions. Give me a
I've
couple
I've got
more.
them, Rob. I'm throwing them in.
Oh, amazing. Legend of this
Answer.
stuff.
Yeah, there's one in
first
there I
one?
just threw in that's come in a few times.
When are they going to exclude the COGS of a canceled order from the total cost and profit? Oof, fantastic question. I am deferring to my favorite Carolinian. What's
Yeah, that's fair. Well, okay, I can tell you for certain this is on our radar. It's just kind of a more complex issue right now and how we calculate that metric and how we would remove it. But Yaakov, how are you handling this currently? Because COGS is a line item. If an order gets canceled, have you guys filtered that in? Because it goes back into inventory if it's returned.
Well, returns different than canceled, right? So I think returns are harder.
Oh, so you're talking
That's-
about, yeah, just like they
Like
placed
I
the order,
ordered, but
they
it never
cancel
shipped
it.
out. Returns are squirrely because then these that go back in inventory so I think returns are really difficult. Canceled seems a little more simple.
Because on the debit and credit, you're going to get the initial revenue. Then you're going to also get the refund on the canceled order. And then COGS should also be removed, right, Yaakov? Is that what's happening in the P&L? Maybe you can't answer that right away, but we can at least write about it in the knowledge base or something once we have a...
Yeah, let me look into that, sync with the team, and hopefully address that in the knowledge base. But I can just say that for us, the P&L starts at net sales, and normally returns, refunds, exchanges are north of net sales, like that's under gross sales.
Got it. Okay.
Amazing. So
One of the
TBD
privileges
there.
of dealing with a set of orders.
But I guess to the point of returns get really weird because when do you include the return? Because some people batch returns. Some people don't put the product back for sale, so they just eat the cost anyways. It's a fair point. I'm not saying it's not a fair point, but returns are a little more squirrely than canceled orders. So we have that on the roadmap. It's just been a little bit hairy of a problem to deal with than it sounds like.
Yeah, I know we have a lot of questions to answer too, but Yaakov, that might be a good thing for us to put in the knowledge base or kind of maybe another webinar, because returns are kind of like that accrual basis, right? Are you going to take it all in one hit when it comes in the batch, or are you going to spread that out back to the dates of which they were ordered from or something? or somewhere like scattered throughout the month. Because we used to do bulk refunds like every 15 days.
Same with when I ran my agency, I had clients and it would just wreck Myrrh and things of that nature because you're taking this massive hit where it's like we only return things on Fridays. Anyways, next question. When will T-Dub have the cost for Klaviyo and PostScript appear in the ads pixel dashboard? LB, any thoughts there?
Yeah, right now the pixel is just pulling in ad spend directly from the APIs. And so Klaviyo, if you, let's say for Klaviyo or PostScript, I would definitely suggest putting it into custom expenses for now and then marking it as ad spend. That will go into your blended ROAS and MER calculations. But we don't, we don't spread that cost out like on a daily or weekly basis in your pixel dashboard right now. It's a fair point, but I don't think it's on the roadmap right now.
Can I piggyback on that? With custom expenses, we do spread it out over the day. You're correct, Logan, that we're not representing that expense in the pixel page yet, but it is definitely on the roadmap. I've had a lot of brands asking me to do this to get custom expenses that are marked as ad spend or acquisition related expenses, to get those to be represented in the appropriate line on the pixel page. Definitely on the roadmap. I'm hoping we will have that in the month of October.
Amazing.
Yeah, it's good. It'd be nice if we could pull it directly from the API, just because like when November comes around, everyone's Klaviyo account is going to go through the roof. Like it's not going to be the same. So, anyway, good thoughts though.
Great question. Khalid, the man, we got to send you some swag. These are fantastic questions. This is something that has been really asked about. I don't know where it is on the roadmap, but we know there's a lot of people that have a lot of campaigns, and it can kind of make the pixel page be a little bit less than ideal user experience. Is there any update there, Logan, in the only active campaigns on the T-Dub?
Yeah, it's my understanding, and if Ilya is watching, he's going to kill me if I'd say this wrong, but it's my understanding that it is only going to be active campaigns and or traffic or conversions. If we see traffic or conversions coming, like if you turn it off and there's conversions coming in 7 days later, we're still going to show you that line item. It should be grayed out because it's an ad set or ad campaign that's turned off. So, but once there's no traffic, no conversions coming through, it should drop off.
Amazing.
I'm not sure if that's a feature specifically with the new Pixel, but in any case, the new Pixel should be launched for everyone like next week. So
amazing.
Or Friday.
Or Friday.
Sure, we'll launch Saturday. Come
It's
to
a launch palooza. It's a launch palooza. Okay, Max has a really good one. Will it ever be possible to adjust metrics from orders manually? For example, to manually solve the problem with the COGS from canceled/returned orders. That's an interesting workaround. So kind of almost what you have, Yakov, in the P&L of being able to have a batch rule, but then also be able to drill down into an order. That's interesting. At volume, it probably doesn't really solve a lot of people's problems, but is there any rumblings around this in the product team, Logan, or?
No, not exactly.
Okay.
I think especially for COGS right now, I think we just need to set a hard and fast rule about orders that are canceled. Because all this stuff gets stored in the database. And so I'm not sure how you could edit the value, but I think at scale, we would need to make sure there's an automation in place that makes sense for the community.
Amazing. I know we're bumping them against it. We're 4 minutes over. So if you guys do have any more questions, put them in there now. If not, we will sign off. So just kind of wrap up, FinHub will be live tomorrow. We'll actually send you all an email before it goes live, so you can make sure that you get into that 500 store tranche to secure your 50% off and sweet FinHub hat. And then it will be 50% off in perpetuity, forevers and evers. And then what else we got? I don't think any more questions. Khalid, you've been so helpful. Shoot me an email with your address and what you want from the merch store and the size, and we'll get you some swag. I really appreciate all the thoughtful questions, and everybody's questions were fantastic. So I really appreciate all the interactions. Yakov, your dream. I really just, you're just awesome. You just need to be like the masterclass teacher of just interacting with people. You are just awesome. Big fella. Anything else? Any other closing remarks? What are you excited about? What are you looking forward to? Anything that the people should know about?
And as I said, I think this product really is a game changer. I think cash flow was like one of the biggest pain points as an e-commerce store owner. So I had my own e-commerce store a decade ago, but yeah, there's always a massive, massive pain point. So being able to combine this with all the cool things on the marketing side and the cohorts and everything else I'm pumped. Good work, Yakov.
Amazing. Logan?
It's
Oh, sorry.
I just
go
want
ahead,
to
Yakov.
say all the work. I actually did not write one line of code for this myself. So all the credit really should go to the incredible team behind the product. I'm just here as a pretty face and a pretty beard.
Right.
And to scare people with your creepy office with all this stuff on the wall.
It's a beautiful mind, Rava.
It is a beautiful vibe. Yeah, it's absolutely great. Logan, any parting words for the beautiful people?
No, yes. I say no, but yes. Give it a try tomorrow. Put it in your inbox. I think if you're working for an agency or something, and I think we have a lot of agency partners out there. Like, get your store owners involved here. So if you're using it mainly for marketing purposes, like, let your store owner know that you can do this now in Triple Whale. I think it'd be really impactful to have them involved in the platform if they're not already. And yeah, congrats to Yakov for this. This has been a big, big feature for a long, long time coming. So
yeah, it's been incredible. Yakov, sign off. Tell the people where they can find you, what they need to do. Should they download the FinHub? This time's yours, my friend.
Yeah, sure. So I'll use the time to just say thanks again, guys, for having me, and thanks for everyone for listening. If anyone wants to reach me, if you have ideas, complaints, praises, whatever it is, if you want to talk to me about the FinHub or anything else, my email address is yakov@triplewhale.com. That's YAAKOV. I love talking to customers. I love talking to people in general, but I thrive on conversations. So really, really take me up on it. Hit me up. Love to chat. And I hope you get a lot of value out of it. Me and about 10 other people have really poured ourselves into this project for the last couple of months. We hope it moves the needle for your store.
Absolutely. And we want you to be very well situated for Black Friday, Cyber Monday. Like that's really going to be, a lot of people have, quite frankly, it makes or breaks their business to make sure they have a successful Q4. So we want to make sure that you all are empowered with the best instrumentation to make sure that you're spending money in the right ways and that you know where your money's flowing to.
I saw Max's question here about FinHub. Max, it may be, Yakov can probably answer, but I think if you have specific worries, right? I think message us, email us, and like we can walk through each of your concerns and just make sure that you feel super comfortable, because you are putting your finances into the system. But I think Yakov's put a lot of work into making sure that everything's secure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can just two aspects really quickly: security and testing. As far as security, like I said, we don't house any of the credentials ourselves. All of that is stored at Plaid, and they have, they're super legit. Financial data that we get from Plaid or from QuickBooks is encrypted in transit, and it's encrypted at rest. Only you will have access to your financial data. As far as testing, I'm pretty confident in saying that this is the most highly tested rollout that Triple Whale has ever done. We've been in alpha testing for several weeks now with real businesses, and by no means am I saying it's going to be a flawless release. We found bugs today. Still, we're addressing bugs today, but as far as Triple Whale standards go, this is setting a new standard for thoroughness and battle testing before release.
Yeah, and I can also appreciate the marine pun with the waterproof. So you know what, Max? Go ahead and send me what you want from the merch store as well. Your size, Addy, where you want it sent, and we'll get you whatever merch you want, Max. I think that's it, folks. I'm so sorry. We're 10 minutes over. I really appreciate everyone staying to the end. Yakov, Logan, Sonder, I know you guys have crazy schedules, so I really appreciate you carving the time out for the triple whalers to let them know where we're going with the product. And then again, Yakov, I really just appreciate just everything about you, the thoughtfulness, the attention to detail, the trade-offs that you've really put into this feature is just really second to none. And I've been blown away by it. So I think it's going to be incredible. Make sure to get your 50% off. Again, it's only going to be for the first 500 stores. So we'll send everybody that attended the webinar an email to make sure that you get the launch before it actually goes live tomorrow. Make sure you can sign up and get into that 500 person tranche. Sonder, you're the best. Always appreciate you, big man. Logan, it's always a pleasure. That's it. That's another whale webinar on the books. These are every Wednesday. I think next Wednesday, you guys want to do cohorts? I don't think we have it nailed down yet, but I think we might go over do some cohort stuff or maybe some Black Friday stuff. We'll send you guys out an email on Monday what next week's whale webinar is. But every Wednesday, we'll run this whale webinar to make sure that you guys are getting the most out of Triple Whale and generating value for either your customers or yourself to make your lives or your family's lives better, your friends' lives better. At the end of the day, it's just money, and this life's about making deep connections with humans you care about. And so if we can do that, that was one of the most transformative interview calls that I listened to from Yakov's research was this gave hours back to this gentleman to be with his daughter. And like, again, like I'm a huge capitalist and we all want to make money, but at the end of the day, it's really great to show up in the people's lives that you care about. And so if we can give you more time back and you make a little bit more guap, come on, it's a win-win, people. Let's go. All right. That's it from Canada, Utah, Columbus, South Carolina. We're all over the globe, everybody. Thanks so much for stopping in, and we'll see you next Wednesday. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Take care.